Hey up everybody, and welcome back to Velogames again. We missed Liège at the weekend, but that's because I was away, but I think it's just good to get away sometimes, and we're going to get straight back into it with Tour of Romandie, which starts tomorrow, so this is hopefully going to reach you before you decide to make your final team, and I think the deadline is like a good amount of time tomorrow for people in like the UK and Europe. I'm sorry if you live elsewhere. I'm not up to date with time zones. So let's just get straight into this and talk about Romandie, which is a great race. And importantly, it's got two time trials. I know that one of them's a prologue, but that's it's technically a time trial. Um, if I was you, I'd be looking at that and thinking a third of the stages here are going to be time trials, and you might even have a breakaway day where a time trials might get into it. So therefore, the team that we've got on screen right now is quite time trial intensive. And I think the point that I'm trying to get across is you want to try and get everybody on your team scoring. So at a minimum, you can just always put a time trialist on. What I'd be going with is Geraint Thomas and Richie Porte, because they are the two big favourites, and it would be quite surprising and quite a turn up for the books if they didn't win. So probably pick both of those, and then another GC option, a bit more of an outsider, somebody who could finish on a podium, somebody like Jonas Agir. Personally, I wouldn't be choosing Kruijswijk. I don't think that he's just but in fact, by all means choose Kruijswijk, but I just think that I'd much rather go with Richie Porte and Geraint Thomas, and trying to get Kruijswijk on there as well means that I have to put on more lower point riders, and I think that that's going to be the deciding factor, is if you can try and avoid those low point riders, because I'm not sure how many of them are that good. From what I can tell, then you probably want to be trying to get into the mid-range, kind of 6 to 10 points, and Kruijswijk's just going to ruin that. Rowan Dennis I'd probably be avoiding as well. Lopez I'd probably avoid. Dennis, the only reason I'm avoiding is that yes, he's a great time trialist, but you're pretty much putting him on because he's a good time trialist, and you can get other ones who are 8 points, so it just doesn't particularly make sense to do that. You could go Jonas again. I've toyed around with this idea, and then take off one of your 8 pointers for a 4-pointer. I guess this was a good time to talk through the 4-pointers who I like. Ilan van Wilder is one of them. He's a kind of time trialing climber from DSM. Did pretty good at, I think it was Catalonia or Basque Country. It was one of the others. I'm fairly certain it was Catalonia though. He could be a top 20 finisher on GC. I probably don't expect him to get you many like stage points, but GC points he could end up getting you nearly 100 if you're lucky. Other riders who I'm liking the look of: Matthias Skelmos Jensen. I've said him in another. I think it was Catalonia as well. He's just done Tour of the Alps. He didn't look great, but it's just another option. You do have a couple of time trialists in here as well, like Norsgaard, like Imhoff. Imhoff is good because he usually gets him a breakaway in these Swiss races, and he's part of the Swiss national team, so they'll be in the break every single day, apart from the time trial days. Imhoff is a great option. Probably one of the safer ones. Ian Garrison is a good time trialist. How he'll do here, I'm not overly too sure. Alex Edmondson has been known to do a good prologue. And in terms of the other ones, maybe Marco Brenner, that could be a cool one. He's a young 18-year-old, 19 time trialist from Germany. So that's the 4-pointers, which I'm just taking you through there, nice and fast. So Geraint and Porte, that's what you're going with. Now, yes, you could go Jonas again. You could choose somebody else. This is up to your personal opinion. Do you think Jon, Wilco, or Sepp are going to do get you the most amount of points? Sepp, I think, will be working for Kruijswijk, so I think that's a bit more risky going for that, so I'd probably avoid Sepp. Go for Wilco or Jon. They're very similar. They both time trial quite well. They both climb quite well. I think that Wilco is probably more of a solid climber, because I've looked at Jon's mountaintop, like big mountaintop results, and they're not fantastic. So I'd be perhaps favouring Wilco in that sense, I guess. but I do think that perhaps Jon is the better time trialist, so he'll get you more points in the time trials. I expect at least 50 points from the time trials. 12 pointers. Rui Costa, yes, he usually goes well in this race, but man, like he just doesn't look like he's on fire. So I probably won't pick him. Ganna for 12 is overpriced. I know that he's a really good time trialist, but these aren't normal time trials. One of them's got a cobble climb in them. One of them's 4k long. I know that he's got a 4k pursuit record, but for 12 points, it's just not worth it. Haig, Lucas Hamilton, Kamna, Masnada, Aran, Soler. These are all outside GC picks. Honestly, they could all do really well. They could all fail or crash or like just not get you many points at all. My gut feeling is saying that Masnada is going to do quite well. Aran will improve but not do great. And probably Lucas Hamilton will probably do alright as well. So if you're going to push me for a 12-pointer, Masnada or Hamilton. Maybe Woods, but like his time trialing isn't great. 10 pointers. I'm going to tell you who to avoid. Chris Froome. Unfortunately, I love Chris Froome, but no, I won't pick him. Of all these 10 pointers, Caruso and Hershey are your best options because Hershey's just come off a really good Liège where he finished 6th, and Caruso is just this very solid climber. Usually goes very well at the Giro, which is just around the corner, so he's bound to be in some kind of good form. Can time trial pretty well as well. Could get a top 10. Bit like Jon Izagirre, but kind of does 80% of what Jon Izagirre does. 8 pointers, I usually avoid 8 pointers, but this time I have stacked on a load of 8 pointers. If you look at this team, I've got Stefan Kung and Bissegger, and I've got Sagan as well. I mean, like it's pretty strong, and actually in there you've also got another fantastic time trialist in Remy Cavangna. This is just like ridiculous. For the time trials that are there, like 2 time trials, you could get so many points on the first day and so many points on the last day. I'd be putting on Stefan Kung, Bissegger, Cavangna. Like those guys are just so good at time trialing. I'd be surprised if in the prologue and the time trial, like you don't get 2 in the top 5 at least. With this whole team, you'd be probably looking at maybe 3 in the top 5. It's crazy. Bissegger's shown a really good time trial legs. I'd probably say that he's a good option as well. Kung has actually won from a breakaway in this in Romandie before, so that could give you promising results as well. And kind of same for Cavangna, he's just a great time trialist. And because De Koenig don't really have a sprinter, they'll be more than likely sending guys into the breakaway. Hint, Cavangna goes in the breaks, gets time trial points as well. You see where I'm getting at. Alternatively, and you could also put Sagan on instead of Ilan van Wilder and choose Caruso instead of Jon Izagirre, a bit like I'm going to show you now. Whoa, not like that. Whilst I'm just picking that, let's talk about the sprinters, because yes, we've got Sagan here, who is a great pick. Sagan also sometimes goes well in prologues, which is why I'm more inclined to go for him. There's also Colbrelli, Jake Stewart for 6 points. You got Gaviria, Bauhaus, etc., etc. Sprinters aren't going to get you many points here, but they'll get you some. I mean, some other 6 pointers that you could go with, I'll just rattle off really fast before the video ends. Pat Bevan, time trialist, absolutely solid pick there. Maybe Alex Dowsett. You could go with Matt Holmes, Andreas Kron, Moschetti for a sprint, Simon Pelot for breakaways, Gerben Thiessen for sprints, Mads Schmidt, and I think Jan Tratnik is around here as well. Jan Tratnik, he won the prologue here last time Romandie was here, so that's pretty much all the riders that I think I should recommend. If you need any help, get in touch in the comments, get in touch on Twitter, get in touch on Instagram, etc. So keep your masks on, stay safe, and we'll talk to you next time.